A donkey talking about car payments? Yeah, I know, sounds like the start of a bad joke. But relax, human. I've watched your species destroy more money with a monthly car bill than I ever lost running away from coyotes. You folks look at a $499 a month sign, and your brain shuts off like a barn light at midnight. Suddenly you forget math, forget savings, forget reality. All because the car has Bluetooth. And the funniest part? You call that building credit. Please. Where I come from, that's just buying a shiny saddle you can't afford. If you've ever convinced yourself that a car payment is no big deal, go ahead and comment so I know I'm not the only one surrounded by financially confused mammals. Humans love comfort more than they love money, and that is exactly how car payments trap you. I've seen it for years. A human walks into a dealership saying they want something simple, and 5 minutes later they're hypnotized by heated seats and a sunroof they'll open twice a year. That's when the salesperson smiles, because they know the magic phrase that empties wallets. It's only a small monthly payment. Only. Small. Monthly. Payment. Those 4 words turn logical humans into financial hay chewers. You stop thinking in total cost, long-term impact, or the slow bleed that follows. You just picture yourself driving, feeling important, while your wealth quietly leaks out the back like a cracked bucket. Here's the truth. The average American car payment is now higher than many people's rent. And still you convince yourself it fits the budget because the number is sliced into tiny monthly bites. That's not budgeting, that's self-delusion. Back on the farm, we called this the comfort illusion, trading long-term freedom for short-term feelings. And every time a human falls for it, I see the same ending. They feel proud for a week and trapped for 5 years. And the funniest part? You think the trap is the car. It's not. The real trap is what comes next. Every trap has one thing in common. Silence. And car payments are masters at it. They don't ruin you with one loud, dramatic moment. They drain you slowly, quietly, month after month, until one day you look at your bank account and wonder why your life feels permanently tight. Humans blame everything except the real culprit. Groceries are expensive. Gas prices went up. My salary doesn't keep up. Sure, all that matters. But do you know what else matters? The $400 sneaking out of your account every month like a fox slipping through the fence at night. And here's the twist you hate hearing. The payment is only the beginning. Insurance jumps, maintenance rises, repairs appear exactly when your savings disappear. Even the gas bill grows, because you bought a car with more horsepower than discipline. It's not the purchase that hurts you, it's the ecosystem around it. A whole financial universe built to drain you quietly, while you keep telling yourself you're doing fine. Back on the farm, the farmer used to say, "A bucket doesn't need a big hole to empty. A small one does the job if you ignore it long enough." And humans, you ignore it beautifully. But wait until you see what this quiet leak prevents you from building. The worst part of a car payment isn't the money you spend. It's the money you never get to build. Humans forget that every dollar has a job, and when you chain those dollars to a car, they stop working for you. They stop multiplying. They stop growing into something bigger. Back on the farm, when the farmer saved a handful of seeds instead of feeding them to the animals, those seeds became rows of crops. Small choices, huge outcomes. But humans? You feed your financial seeds to the dealership and hope wealth magically appears later. Here's a real number you hate. If you invested the average $400 payment monthly for 5 years, you'd be sitting on tens of thousands. Instead, you're sitting in traffic, paying interest for the privilege. This is the true cost you never calculate. The lost growth. The missed compounding. The opportunities that die quietly because the money meant to build them is trapped in a depreciating machine. The farmer used to say, "Wealth isn't built by what you buy. It's built by what you keep working." Humans haven't learned that yet. And if you think that loss is small, imagine 5 more years of the same habit. Imagine a decade of sending your future to the dealership instead of building a foundation that could have changed everything. That silent sacrifice is the real price hidden under every payment you call manageable. And each month you stay in that loop, escape grows harder too. Here's the part humans hate the most. Debt never stays still. It grows, creeps, multiplies, and gathers weight like a snowball rolling down a cold hill. But you convince yourself that because the payment is fixed, the problem is fixed too. That's not how debt works. That's how denial works. Back on the farm, the farmer always warned, small trouble becomes big trouble when you look away. And car payments are experts at becoming big trouble. Miss one payment and fees hit. Miss two and interest climbs. Stretch the loan and you stretch the damage. Here's a number you don't like hearing. Most Americans roll old car debt into new car debt, turning one mistake into a chain reaction. You think you're starting fresh, but all you're doing is dragging yesterday's burden into tomorrow. It's the silent snowball you never see forming. You tell yourself you needed the upgrade. You call it smart. But the truth is simple. Every new loan buries your future a little deeper. And the scariest part? This snowball isn't done growing. There's an even bigger layer humans ignore completely. A rolling debt keeps picking up speed until something finally breaks. And it's never the bank that pays the price. The break always happens on your side. In your budget, your savings, your future. And the longer you ignore it, the more control it gains over every choice you make. Step by step, humans never buy just a car. They buy an entire lifestyle upgrade they can't afford. Once that shiny vehicle sits in the driveway, everything around it quietly inflates. Suddenly the old insurance plan is not enough. The cheap gas station becomes bad for the engine. Weekend trips multiply, fancy accessories appear, and all of it feels harmless because each cost is small. But together they swarm like flies around a feeding trough. Back on the farm, the farmer said, "A bigger cart makes the donkey think he needs bigger loads." Humans do the same. A new car makes you believe you deserve nicer dinners, better clothes, pricier weekends, and a life that looks like the commercial that convinced you to buy the car in the first place. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Lifestyle creep doesn't hit you all at once. It slides in quietly, sitting beside your car payment, nibbling at every corner of your budget until you can't remember what life looked like before the upgrade. And the real trap is this. Once your lifestyle expands, it almost never shrinks without a fight. You adapt fast to luxury and slow to discipline. That is why one car payment becomes 5 years of financial suffocation without you noticing the walls closing in. But this isn't even the final cost hidden under that shiny hood. And the truth every human avoids is simple. The lifestyle you inflate for comfort becomes the cage that steals your freedom inch by inch. Humans love saying they're working on their future, yet so many of you hand that future to a car dealer without blinking. A monthly payment doesn't just take money today, it steals choices tomorrow. It decides where you can live, what you can save, and how much freedom you actually get to have. Back on the farm, the farmer used to say, "A donkey tied to a pole still walks, but never leaves the circle." That's exactly what a long car loan does. You move, you sweat, you hustle, but you never get ahead. You confuse movement with progress, and the loan loves that confusion. Here's a harsh truth. Most humans plan their lives around their bills instead of their goals. The car payment becomes the center of the budget, and everything else squeezes around it. Investing, saving, emergencies, opportunities, all pushed aside so a depreciating machine can feel loved. And what hurts the most? You don't notice what you're missing. The business you could have started. The investments you could have grown. The cushion you could have built. All gone quietly because the payment demanded priority. But you still haven't seen the final twist of this trap. The one that surprises even the humans who think they're doing everything right. The final twist is the cost you never count. The opportunities that vanish before you even know they existed, erased by a payment you thought was harmless. And every month, your freedom shrinks more than you notice. Humans love rewarding themselves, and nothing triggers that impulse faster than a new car. You work a little, stress a lot, and suddenly the dealership becomes a therapy session you can finance. You call it self-care. I call it emotional spending with wheels. And the car companies know exactly how to pull your strings. Back on the farm, the farmer said, "A donkey doesn't need praise to work, but a human needs a treat to move." That's why the phrase, "I deserve it," has destroyed more budgets than any emergency ever did. You use it to justify what you already wanted, not what you actually needed. Here's the real danger. When emotion drives the purchase, logic rides in the trunk. You convince yourself the payment won't hurt, that over time will cover everything, that future you will magically become responsible enough to handle the fallout. But future you is tired, stressed, and dealing with the same habits that created the problem. The illusion of deserving something becomes the perfect mask for overspending. It hides the truth that you're trading long-term freedom for a short burst of excitement. And the debt doesn't care how you felt when you signed the contract. What comes next is the part you never see coming. The domino you didn't know you pushed. Because once emotion opens the door, the financial fallout walks right in. And each time you use that excuse, you push your future further away, in exchange for a brief moment that fades. No. Every trap has an exit, but humans rarely. Take it until the pain outweighs the comfort. Car payments work the same way. You don't feel the damage month to month. You feel it when an emergency hits and you have no savings. When an opportunity appears and you can't take it. When life demands flexibility and your budget refuses to bend. Back on the farm, the farmer said, "A donkey learns when the weight becomes heavier than the reward." Humans learn the same way. One day you wake up and realize the car that once felt like freedom has become a leash. That's when clarity hits harder than any bill ever could. Here's the turning point. The moment you see the trap, you can't unsee it. You start questioning every upgrade, every bill, every excuse that kept you stuck. And slowly, discipline replaces impulse. Savings replace payments. Options replace limits. Breaking the cycle isn't dramatic. It's quiet. It's choosing a cheaper car, or no loan at all. It's redirecting the payment into investing. It's the first month your money grows. Instead of disappears, that small shift becomes a new direction, and now comes the real twist. Your future doesn't change when you pay off the car. It changes the moment you decide you're done being owned by it. And once you take that step, every month becomes lighter, opening doors you never realized were locked. And that freedom becomes the momentum that keeps you moving with purpose instead of pressure.